Hello and welcome back to the third tutorial. Today's going to be looking at 5 tips to make you a better overall Paragon player. Some will be focused more towards the early game and some towards the late game and should help improve the flow of your games. So tip number 1 is going to be don't continuously kill the minions and push towards tower. The reasoning for this is because you're actually giving your enemy a better chance of last hitting because you are killing your enemy's minions, which are stopping their minions from killing your minions. It makes it a lot easier to last hit when there's not a lot of damage going on. In fact, it's quite hard to last hit when there's a lot of minions because there's a lot of damage flying around. You don't know quite which one's going to die first, and sometimes they will actually sneak behind each other, so you can't last hit them without hitting the one in front. And I'm sure you've already experienced this a few times. I know I have. And this actually goes both ways because as you're pushing more minions onto their fewer minions, it'll be harder for you to last hit. So really, it's not that useful unless you're trying to push the tower to take it with help of someone else, or if you force the enemy out of lane. Another reason for not doing that is you are actually pushing towards their tower, and most likely, if you're not thinking about it, you will pretty much subconsciously start moving towards their tower, opening yourself up for a gank, which is not going to end well for you. Time for tip number 2, and tip number 2 is what the hell up? Because as you can see, I pretty much always have a ward in my build, because otherwise bad things happen and bad things aren't fun for you because usually bad things involve a lot of deaths. I've only died once this game. Their jungler did try to gank me quite a few times, but with Kwang's Q you can pretty much lock down the enemy jungler to keep him the hell away from you because obviously he's tethered to it. I would advise always having some kind of stealth ward in your build just in case one of your teammates decides they don't want to ward. You can do it for them because if you have no wards or only like one person with a ward going down all the time, you are not going to see where the enemy is, and most likely that will end up in either you not going out far from the base because you don't know where they are, or you'll go out too far from the base and you'll die because you didn't know where they were. The third tip is commit or don't bother. There's a lot of times I'll see someone commit, I'll join in a fight, and then they'll back out and I'll die for it because I thought they were going in, to win a fight as a team. And really you should either commit or don't commit because it's a waste of mana and health and you could be doing better things with it. And I'm going to also add on top of this tip, kind of a side tip, if you win a fight, don't back. If you win a fight and there's like 3 or 4 of you alive and there's maybe 1 or 2 of them alive, do not back. If they're still running away, take an objective, take a tower, take anything. Take Orb Prime, take Raptors, it's going to be a bonus or something and you're not going to get interrupted while you're doing it. Like even if it's doing what I'm doing here and hitting this, just do it. It's something. The third tip is going to be group up. The amount of games I've lost, including the one that this video clip is from, is insane. The amount of times people don't group up, especially AD carries. I'm looking at you, or should I say rangers, or however you want to say it. They have a tendency to go off and play Farming Simulator. They really like getting those CS, which is great. But at the same time, if it's like 40, 50 minutes into the game and you're still farming the lanes when they're not even pushing towards you, it's kind of irritating. And at the same time, what they'll do is they'll end up wandering off too far and they'll die. So if you do happen to be one of those players and you're guilty of this, please group with the team. My fourth tip is going to be try and keep your enemies busy if you're behind. For example, if they've taken a few of your towers and you haven't taken any of theirs and they're trying to push one specific tower, send one person, or you just go if your team's not doing it, and push down one lane. If you push down one lane hard enough, they're bound to rotate, allowing you to counter push the lane they were just trying to push. This will allow you to keep a constant flow of card XP coming to you and your teammates, as well as being able to force them to come away from their tower. This requires you to have someone like Howitzer or someone like that, or Gadget, to be able to push the lane effectively and quickly, compared to a couple of people from their team. However, this will also allow you to waste some of their time with their advantage, because eventually your team should kind of balance out in how powerful they are, which should allow you to make a comeback. And the fifth tip is going to be aware when you're trying to do Orb Prime, and be aware when you're trying to take any objective if it's 5v5. If you don't have wards around you, it's related to the previous point, but you need to be aware at all points where they're going to be coming from and where they could possibly be. If you've just seen 3 people in the top left inhibitor, for example, in your blue side like here, and you've just seen 3 people at top left and you're in the right hand lane, you know 2 people are going to be somewhere else, right? So you need to be aware. You need to be putting wards behind you and to the side of you on that lane, so you know where they're going to be coming from. And on top of this, if you see 3 people disappear from the top left hand inhibitor and you still don't know where the other 2 people are, you can bet they're probably going to be behind you at this point, and the 3 people who've just come back to base are going to be running over to the top right hand where you are. So you're going to be kind of getting sandwiched between a nice roaming group of enemies, which is never fun. But anyway, that's kind of a hypothetical situation. I'm just trying to explain it. Like, you should be aware of what you're doing. If you're doing odd prime, you need to make sure it's not warded, because otherwise someone's going to try and snipe it from you. But I hope these 5 tips have been useful. I'm looking forward to the card crafting being useful and doing a little tutorial for that, as well as other tutorials for jungling, mid lane, left lane, and the right lane. But hopefully these tips will keep you satisfied until I get onto those. And I hope to see you here for the next tutorial.